Hello, and welcome to another session of our Arizona Hip Historian Virtual Happy Hour Tour. I am Brenda Holt with Arizona AARP. We are the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering people 50 and older to choose how they live as they age. With a nationwide presence and nearly 38 million members across the nation, and approximately 900,000 right here in Arizona, we work to strengthen communities and we advocate for what matters most to families. During the month of October, we will raise awareness on Medicare and Social Security decisions that focus on enhancing your financial health. AARP is a wise friend and fierce defender and a trusted source of Medicare and Social Security information and resources. To find these resources, please visit us at aarp.org/Social Security, aarp.org/Medicare, and for more information, please visit us at aarp.org/Arizona. Enjoy your session.
Ladies and gentlemen, non-binary folk, welcome to the show. Get ready to meet your host for the night, Arizona's very own hip historian himself, Marshall Shore.
Well, hello and good evening. Oh my gosh. Here we are at the end of October. So happy that you can join us. You know, we've got an amazing show for you this evening. So, oh my gosh. I'm so happy that the weather has kind of cooled off. And so that we've got a little bit of really amazing weather going on right now. So I want to welcome you all. I know we've got some folks. I know Frank is probably watching on LinkedIn as well. We've got folks out there on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter as well. So happy Halloween as we get ready for the spookiest weekend around. So kind of excited about that. Oh, indeed. And thank you. And I'm going to actually explain why we have such a spooky little background, because of course it's tied to some Arizona history. So, all right. So let's go ahead and get the ball rolling. So, October 27th, Halloween is just days away. We're coming up for a big weekend with all kinds of events going on. And, right here in Arizona. So back in 1870, it was the birth of Charlotte Hall. Now, if you go up to Prescott, you can visit her house, which is also a museum and is part of the former governor's mansion up in Prescott. She also was really much a woman ahead of her time. She also was really into preservation. She also started one of my favorite events in Arizona's past, which was Mask of the Yellow Moon. So, which I can talk about for days and days, and sometimes I have, but I'm not going to do that tonight. Now, it is also National Beer Day. Now, beer's history dates back to about 7,000 years ago, but it didn't really appear in the States until you had some of the original colonies that were feeling, they missed what they could get in the pubs. So they really started eyeing all that corn they were growing as a new source of entertainment / libation. And so there you go. So have a beer today, and you can do it because it's all in celebration. Now, it is also, as we get close to a spooky season, it is National Black Cat Day. What I think is really interesting is the fact that when you look at Scotland, Britain, and Japan, a black cat showing up or appearing is actually considered to be good luck and bringing good fortune, as opposed to so many other places, including the Western world, where a black cat is considered not such good luck. Now, it is also Henry C. Ramos Day. He is the inventor of the gin fizz. Back in 1888 in New Orleans, It's considered to be the best of the gin or of the fizz drinks. The original recipe had dry gin, heavy cream, powdered sugar, lime juice, fresh lemon juice, egg whites, orange water, and you had to shake it for about 12 to 15 minutes. It's now much easier to get that cocktail without waiting 15 minutes of arm breaking shaking going on. So it is also Navy Day. Now, this is an unofficial Navy Day, so the Navy doesn't necessarily celebrate this, but it's really for those supporters that are celebrating all those women and men who served in the Navy. So let's continue on with the show. So what can you expect if this is your first time here? You know, we've got a little bit of trivia coming up. We've got From the Vault, which is something you might drive by every day and not even know is there. We do a little Arizona, which in this case is something big, but I thought it was a fun twist for the upcoming holiday. We also have music history for Arizona, which ties into my background, as well as a beverage and, of course, a special guest. So if this is your first time watching, you might wonder, who is that man and why is he on my screen? Well, my name is Marshall Shore, and I got to Arizona a little over 23 years ago, or almost 23 years ago. And I got here via Brooklyn. I was working at a Carnegie library and decided to trade that for a beautiful building in Central City South that had this rich oral tradition of the community. And that really got me looking at a different way to look at Arizona history. So we promptly moved into a beautiful ranch house that was lots of beige. I'm happy to say now it is seafoam and cantaloupe, and pretty much considered to be kind of a time capsule. Now, as soon as we got here, all we kept hearing about how there was no history here. But I knew that wasn't true because every time I went somewhere, I kept running across so many amazing people, places, and stories. And so that really got me looking at Arizona in a different way. And then all those GIs that had been either stationed here, trained here, or passed away to somewhere else, after the war, they were moving here in huge numbers, and in some cases looking for a house just like mine. All right. Now, I'm also called the Hip Historian, which means I get to play with Arizona history. And oh my gosh, the last few weeks have been so much fun, and there's more fun coming. We're doing a lot of stuff with Local Buzz, which is an app you can download to find out about local things going on around the valley. I am on Saturday presenting for the 50th anniversary of the West Valley Genealogical Society, so that's going to be a lot of fun. We also coming up on the second Saturday, which is the 12th, a haunted history walking tour, as well as the state fair is coming to a close. So if you haven't gone to the fair yet, run over and go enjoy something deep fried on a stick. You can get almost anything you want, either deep fried or on a stick at the fair. And when I was there, there were rabbits, chickens, camels. I'm trying to think if there were any other animals. I think that was it. All right. But it was lots of fun. And then we do have dinner and a seance coming up down in Bisbee. That will be right after Thanksgiving. So I see many of you, including Tiffany and Sarah, have found the chat. So thank you so much for reaching out. And now if you want to comment, say something, and maybe you don't want to put it here or it's after the show, you can always reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, email, website, all Hip Historian Connected. Or just Google Hip Historian and throw a note to me that way, and it'll get here. So, because it's a special holiday, oh my gosh, we have a tasty treat from our friend PJ. So it is, and so my bartender Silent Bob has taken the night off. So let's see if I can do this. Oh, look, there we go. So this is called Madam's Ghost. Look at all that goodness pouring right into a cup. So, Madam's Ghost. So, what is in this delicious cocktail? Well, we have a little bit of dark sky gin because it's Gin Ramos Day. So, that, we'd play around with some gin, as well as St. George Spice Pear, some fresh cane sugar, as well as some bitters for a nice little cocktail that says, "Hello, fall." It's a cooling off outside, so you don't necessarily need something so light and refreshing. You can get a little more fun and even, some would say, spooky cocktail. So thank you, PJ, for that. So for Little Arizona, I thought today it would be kind of fun to do a little bit of a twist. And so, in the past, we've done some ghost towns. I've done presentations on ghost towns around Arizona. I know my friend Vic has done the same thing, as there's so many ghost towns around Arizona. But, I thought it would be kind of fun to take a twist and take a look. So what is a ghost town? Well, Philip Varney, who is an author, defines a ghost town as any site that has a markedly decreased population from its peak. A town whose initial reason for settlement, whether it be mining, railroad, no longer keeps people in the community. And so I thought, it'd be kind of fun. A lot of folks say, hey, I've never been to a ghost town. Well, if you have been to Phoenix, you have indeed been to a ghost town. Now, it was founded by Jack Swilling back in 1868. We now have a population of like 1.6 million folks. We were in Maricopa County. I think we're the 5th largest city in the country, but we are still considered, I would say, a ghost town. Not necessarily now, but you can definitely see the fact that we're here because the Hohugam were here and had hundreds of miles of canals. I think one of the best places to go see that is out at the Pueblo Grande Museum, where you can see some of the original structure, foundations, things where people actually lived their daily lives. And so it's actually right out by the airport, really easy to get to. You can even get to it on light rail. They also have parking, so you can drive. So go on out. As well as if tomorrow you're wondering, what should I be doing? Well, the Arizona Museum of Natural History is doing a really cool event. And I forget whether this is I want to say like the 5th or 6th one they've done. People are going to be like, oh, wait a minute, you got that. I'm sure that's actually a little on the low side. I think they've done a few more than that. But they are doing an event tomorrow called Beer and Bones. So you can find out more by either going to their website or visit Mesa, and that will connect you. And I know there are still tickets available for Beer and Bones. So go on out to Mesa and see some history and some spooky things as well. All right. So here on Arizona History Happy Hour, we always have a guest. And here we go through the magic of Deb, who is currently, I think she made her way to Aruba. Here is Debe Branning. Here on Arizona. Oh, wait a minute. Nope. Wait a minute. It helps if people can see me. You click on the wrong button, suddenly something goes awry. So, indeed on Arizona Happy Hour, we always have a special guest. And indeed, I'm excited to bring on my friend Debbie. Hello.
Hello. How are you today?
I am good. And yourself?
Good. It's a nice weather finally at last.
I know, it finally broke. So we're all very happy about
it.
That.
Actually feels like fall today.
Indeed. Okay. So Deb, for those folks that don't know much about you, tell us a little about yourself.
Well, I am a paranormal investigator, and I have been hunting spirits around Arizona for about the last 30 years. I am also an author, and I have about 10 books out, all on haunted places all around Arizona. So that keeps me pretty busy. And then once a month, I do a tour with this gentleman.
Exactly. We do our little walking tours around downtown.
Yes, and that has been really a lot of fun because I've learned a lot about history of these old buildings. People are amazed when they go out on that tour.
Right. It's always so much fun because people are like, oh, I didn't know what that used to be. So, yeah. So, all right. So now we do trivia here on Happy Hour. Now, our trivia is done a little differently than you're used to, like bar trivia. So, what we do is it's all based on, so it's all multiple choice. You can keep track of your answers either in a notebook, on your arm, in some pasta, whatever you choose, you can do that. And so at the end, we're going to go back through and then talk about the stories of the answers. So that way, instead of just focusing on what you know or what you don't know, you're going to know by the time you end Happy Hour tonight, you're going to know 10 more amazing tales. All right. So our first question is, the Monte Vista Hotel in Flagstaff has a room known for its what? A, creaking floors. B, rocking chairs. C, bed that vibrates. Or D, damaged shower curtain. Ooh, that one's spooky. Damaged shower curtain. Oh my gosh. So what do you think there is a particular room in Flagstaff that is known for one thing? Is it that floor? Or maybe it is that haunted shower curtain? Bum, bum, bum. More on that later. All right. The Material Prison's most haunted cell belongs to who? A, John Ryan. B, Pearl Hart. C, Kid Curry. Or D, Finn Clayton. All right. So which one of those folks belongs to the most haunted cell at the Yuma Territorial Prison? And question 3. Heartthrobs who filmed at the haunted Gadsden Hotel in Douglas, Arizona. Who are they? A, is it Paul Newman? B, Tom Selleck? C, Charlie Sheen? Or D, all of the above? I wonder which one of those heartthrobs filmed at the Gadsden, which is a beautiful hotel. All right. Question 4. Bojo's Grill and Sports Club in Winslow has what? A, an old Indian blanket covering the windows. B, a hatchet embedded in the wall. C, no Wi-Fi. Oh, the horrors. No Wi-Fi. Ah! Or could it be a trap door to tunnels in the basement? So which one of those do you think Bojo's Grill in Winslow has or doesn't have? All right. Question 5. Oh, we're going to go to Williams. All right. Okay. So question 5, the Red Garter Bed and Break Bakery in Williams has a ghostly madam named A, Big Nose Kate. B, Big Bertha. C, Julia Lowell. Or D, Mabel McGee. Which one of those folks is a ghostly madam still haunting the Red Garter? All right. Question 6. Men have fallen to their death from the Bridge of Sighs in Globe. One of those men was A, Frank Ballant. B, Kingsley Oles. C, Richard Veckland. Or D, F.R. Austin. So which one of those men do you think fell off the Bridge of Sighs in Globe, Arizona? All right. Question 7. The ghost of Abby Byer. Is that how you pronounce the last name, Byer? Burr. All right. Resided in the Hotel Vyndham in Prescott, Arizona with her ghostly cat named A, Tom. B, Boots. C, Noble. Or D, Fluffy. So what was the ghostly cat named that hangs out in the Hotel Vyndham? All right, we're coming towards the end, into the home stretch. Who was the ghost of the Copper Queen Hotel in Bisbee that never existed? Well, that sounds like a trick question if there ever was one. All right. So, whose ghost never existed at the Copper Queen Hotel? Was it A, Jane Oliver, B, Julia Lowell, C, May Gillis, or D, Annie Roberts? So, which of those ghosts does not reside at their Copper Queen Hotel?
A
But is
very famous ghost.
indeed has an opera and everything. All right, question 9. The YMCA in Phoenix has a ghostly A, swimming pool, B, a green locker, C, a player piano, or D, a floating head. So the downtown YMCA has one of those ghostly things. Which one do you think it is? All right, and our last question is, the staff at the Haunted Congress Hotel in Tucson often find bloodstains on the stairs, B, broken mirrors, C, butter knives in the corners, poker chips in the restroom.
Whoa.
I can't help but laugh about that one. But all right, so we shall see which one of those can be found at the Hotel Congress. Okay, so we are going to take a little bit of Arizona while you are getting together all your final answers. And so first off, it helps if you unmute yourself. So, okay, so now I'm going to actually talk a little bit about the background. And so I know people here are excited because, we have multiple holidays coming up right around the corner. And so, Jules Bass, who was part of Rankin and Bass, who brought us so many Christmas specials, including Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Frosty, he passed away just a few days ago. But, he also has an odd connection to Halloween that most people may not remember. So they did a puppetoon, just like all those holiday specials, called Mad Monster Party, with a variety of folks like Boris Karloff and Phyllis Diller playing different characters. And so there was also a music group here in town called Dyke and the Blazers. And so they originally were out of Buffalo, New York, and moved here to perform as backup for another group. By the time they got themselves here, that other group had already moved on. And so they then formed Dyke and the Blazers. And so they decided, it's like they've been, they were playing all over town. And rumor has it that this doesn't sound like most of their stuff but they do wind up being the house band in Mad Monster Party. And the band is called Little Tibia and the Fibulas. When we're done here, I actually will post that onto the Hip Historian Facebook page, so that way you can all get a chance to see Little Tibia and the Fibulas. All right, and who's ready for some answers? Play some music, and then I'll explain what it is.
October 16th in Phoenix, 1931. Three best friends are fighting. Sammy pulls a gun. Winnie, don't pull the trigger. Now look what you've done. Anne is braining Winnie with an ironing board as a club. Winnie aims the barrel and hits the floor with a thud. She used to be on luminol, now she's on the run. did his old train ever move so slow? On her midnight voyage with strange cargo.
Calling all cars, calling all cars. Arrest Winnie Ruth Judd. She is suspected of homicide.
But the trunks aroused suspicion when their contents started to bleed. Lady, can you open these? I forgot the keys. She walks outside and vanishes. The tiger woman flees. Run, Winnie, run. Run, Winnie, run. Run, Winnie, run. Run, Winnie, run.
Well, I do apologize. So you actually got 2 doses of Arizona music history in one show. Recorded that with Deb. And so that is actually about Winnie Ruth Judd. It is a vintage marionette movie. Oh, I didn't realize both were puppet related. Oh, that's interesting. So actually I will post the link also to that video, which Scott actually put up on YouTube a couple years ago. So, all right, let's continue on. So we play that. So that is my friend Scott in LA made that vintage marionette movie all about the Winnie Ruth Judd case that was based right here in Phoenix back in October of 1931. And he did such a great job. He used to actually, there were several theaters that we showed that. He showed it in not year round, for the anniversary. So you can find it now on YouTube. If you just Google The Murderous, the Winnie Ruth Judd story, you will find that video with this graphic that he used for the DVD when he had those. So please check it out and you can learn about puppets and Winnie Ruth Judd history.
That was pretty cool.
I know, but you know, the music is so catchy in that.
I know, I've never seen that. I'll have to look it up.
Oh yeah, no, because it was like you know, the first time I saw it, I was expecting it to be kind of hokey, and it was actually so well done. I mean, he spent like 3 years of his life working on that, and it really shows.
It's good.
And the music is kind of catchy.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So now we're going to have some answers for those trivia questions. So first up is question 1. The Monte Vista Hotel in Flagstaff has a known room for what?
It's the rocking chair, and that's room 305. So if you ever go there, you want to get room 305. And they say that people will put the chair in one part of the room, they'll go out to dinner or, you know, go out walking around town, they'll come back, and the rocking chair will be moved towards the window again. And what it could be was that a woman actually did die upstairs, and they think it was that room. Her daughter worked across the street at the Babbitt store, and this was a way that mom could keep an eye on the daughter because she could kind of see down into the store. So they think that's the whole deal with the rocking chair. It's just grandma, kind of a mother watching the daughter down below. But you know, the whole Monte Vista has lots and lots of spirits there. And I know my friend was staying there in the John Wayne room, because that's another one of the haunted rooms. And she was with her husband at the time, and he was watching a football game. She went walking around, you know, the hotel, and she was walking down one of the hallways. She was snapping pictures, and she saw a gentleman coming. So she got out of the way to see who it was. And, you know, and she kept watching, and the man just kind of put the key in the door, but he didn't open up the door, he walked through it. So it's just kind of a crazy hotel with a lot of old movie stars stay there because they used to fill all the restrooms up in Monument Valley, and then they
Right.
would drive down the Flagstaff because there wasn't anywhere else to stay, and the Monte Vista was the hot spot at the time.
Indeed, it was the classiest joint in town.
It was.
All right. The Yuma Territorial Prison's most haunted cell belongs to who?
It's John Ryan. Now, everybody talks about the dark cell. Now, that's one that everyone assumes is the most haunted, you know, and it is kind of spooky in there because there's bats in there. You want to hang on to your hair and your hat when you go in there. And a lot of people say that they kind of feel weird energy, but we did an all overnight investigation there a few years back. And we got down to John Ryan's cell, and let's see, that's cell number 14. John Ryan was just an evil, evil soul. Crimes against mankind. He was just bad. And so as we set up chairs outside, we kept seeing a shadow moving inside the cell. And we assumed that was him. And as it got towards light, the shadow just intensified. He was, you know, walking back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So I will say that that is the most haunted cell in all of the Yuma Territorial Prison. John Ryan.
Wow. All right. Which heartthrob filmed at the Haunted Hotel Gadsden in Douglas?
It is
All of the above. All those folks were in that same hotel?
Yeah, you know, different times. You know, Paul Newman did, he was there doing a scene where he was at the Opera House. And so they use the staircase as coming down from his hotel. So he's all dressed in a tuxedo and he comes waltzing down with a cane in his hand. So that's, you know, a very famous scene from there. Tom Selleck did a movie there a few years back, that Ruby Jean and Joe, and he played a kind of a down and out rodeo rider and met this young girl there. And so a lot of the scenes were also filmed in the lobby of the Gadsden Hotel. And I believe that the other movie with Charlie Sheen, that one was filmed in the little cafe there, the little coffee shop.
Oh, the little one off to the side.
Yeah, he did a scene sitting there in the coffee shop, and he filmed in other areas around Douglas too. So the hotel is a kind of a hot spot for movies back, you know, a few years back, and it's very, very haunted. That's one of my favorite places. That's actually where my paranormal team kind of cut its teeth in ghost hunting. We used to go down when I worked for the MVD, the Motor Vehicle Department, for years and years, and we would go down there on payday, bunch of us, and we would look for ghosts down there, kind of a getaway from all the craziness of the Motor Vehicle Department. And that's, you know, we would start it out maybe 4 or 5 of us going, and after a while, sometimes we'd have like 7 or 8 cars kind of caravanning down there. And after a while, the GASM would just give me the second floor. They just go, stay on the second floor. You won't bother anybody then. So we'd have all our people there, and we'd be ghost hunting to the, you know, wee hours of the morning, and dancing on the staircase and dancing in the bar. We had really a lot of fun at the end. The hotel just loved us. And then when everybody went to bed, then we'd be out ghost hunting and sneaking in the basement and all kinds of crazy places. And it was very active. And that's where we met the little ghost, Naza, which is my, you know, moniker for my email.
I didn't know where that came from.
Yeah. We ran, you know, we contacted a little boy ghost there, and that's what he said his name was. We used to talk on the Ouija board quite a bit, and we actually had Pancho Villa on the board with us one night, and he was playing weird games with us. He'd like to use different games with words because he'd like to feel important if he could just throw a few little games out there. And we were speaking one night, and we had a guy with us that didn't believe that we were really talking to Pancho Villa. So he asked him in Spanish, you know, what was your favorite horse's name? And the answer came back on the board. It just spelled SHT. So we're thinking right away, horse shit. And we're like, wow, this is really weird. We went back to work on Monday. We told our supervisor. He contacted a friend who was a professor up in San Francisco. And he said he'd check into it. Next day, the supervisor calls us in the office, and we thought we're all in trouble now. And he goes, no, you guys were right. You were talking to Pancho Villa. we found out, Pancho Villa had lots of horses, but his favorite horse's name was Seven Leagues. So if you break down in a word game, seven, Sahete is SHT. So, yep, we contracted a lot of spirits in that hotel.
Wow. All right. Question 4. Bojo's Grill and Sports Club in Winslow has...
It's a trap door that leads down to tunnels in the basement. Now, probably about 15 years ago, I did a workshop weekend in Winslow. We stayed at the La Posada. We were able to investigate the movie theater up there, and then we went down to eat at Bojo's. So we had the whole restaurant to ourselves pretty much. And a couple of the guys that were at the group were eating their dinner in the little bar area because they ran out of space in the main part of the restaurant. And so the bartender started telling them, like, well, there's a trap door here. And if you go down in the trap door, you can explore the tunnels that are under Winslow. Because the Chinese used to use the tunnels in Winslow because they worked on the railroads during the day. And this was the only way they could go and visit their friends and do their business in the evening. So a couple of the guys went down there, and they said it was really scary because it was dark down there, and they were afraid they were going to make a wrong turn, and they didn't know where they'd end up, Holbrook or someplace, who knows. And so when I was writing the Route 66 book a couple summers ago, I had my friends and we went into Bojo's to eat. And we were sitting down, and I asked the waitress, I go, is there still a trap door in the other room? And she says, I don't know what you're talking about. I went and looked. They had, refloored it. They retiled it, moved the bar in another whole area over there. And I said, well, there used to be a trap door about right here. Well, she called the manager up and asked him. And he goes, well, yeah, there's still one there. So she gives me the phone. He goes, you guys want to go down there? And we're like, well, of course, that's what we do. And so he says, okay, but you got to go through the kitchen now to get to it. So we went down this rickety staircase in the kitchen that went down into the basement, and it was all grungy, dusty, wires hanging all over. We sent Little Fallon and Chance ahead of us. And I says, keep looking up to the ceiling and you'll find the trapdoor. And they found it. It was still there. So we got pictures of the trapdoor, and then the tunnels are now kind of blocked off, as most tunnels are in old buildings these days, just to keep the riffraff out and people from getting hurt and lost.
Right.
But there's a tunnels that, used to go through underneath the streets of Winslow.
Well, and you hear that same story over so many small towns throughout Arizona have tunnels or had tunnels, and now they're filled in for safety reasons.
Exactly.
But every once in a while, you'll find a shop owner that's like, oh, yeah, no, I still have an entrance.
Yeah, there's still kind of a way to get down and peek at them. So that's what we did. It was very cool to see it.
Wow, very cool. All right. The Red Garter and Williams has a ghostly madam named...
This is the ghost. There is Big Bertha. Now, this is a very, very popular B&B. It's what they call a B&B bakery. And it's right across the street from the train depot. So this was probably a good location for when people got off the train. They could walk right over, get a hotel. But the upstairs, had the brothel in it. Big Bertha was the main madam up there for many, many years. The side door, and I think you can see it in the picture, it's kind of the side door on the left. If you go up that stairs, that's called, the Cowboys staircase.
Oh, off to the side. Okay.
Yeah, the Cowboys Endurance Stairs, they called it, because it is, that's still the way you go up to get to the rooms. And it is one tough, steep set of stairs. And more than one man had been pushed down those stairs, they were stabbed or shot, ending up in the sidewalk on the street there. But Big Bertha's the one who ran that place. And she also ran brothels up in Miami Globe area as well.
Oh.
But this is one of the places where she ran quite a long time. So yeah, very popular place. It's very haunted. There's ladies of the night that you wake up in the middle of the night and they'll be standing at the foot of your bed, and it's very popular place to do paranormal investigations.
Wow. So yeah, so you can go take a train to the Grand Canyon and spend the night
And spend the night in a
at the
haunted
Red Garden.
brothel. Can't beat that.
All right. Question 6. Men have fallen to their death from the Bridge of Sighs in Globe. One of those men was
And it says Frank Valiant. He was an Italian gentleman, and he had murdered a man. And he, was really, really not looking forward to spending a few years down in Yuma. He'd probably be roomies with, John Ryan or something. Who knows? But he did not want to go to prison, and he really felt that since he was Italian, he was probably going to be doomed to, either death or prison. So as they finished his court hearing, he was walking across the Bridge of Sighs and decided, I'm not going to jail, and he jumped. And of course, he landed on the ground down below, hit his head, he was dead. The thing of it was, the court was not going to sentence him at all. They were going to let him off, but he did not know this. He talked to a few other guys that kind of scared him a little bit, and that's why he jumped. But if he would have just went to his court date and finished it out, he would have been a free man. So sadly, he's doomed up to walk that Bridge of Sighs from now on.
Wow. And he would have actually gotten away with
He would have gotten out of it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. If he just would have waited.
All right. So the ghost of Abby
Burr. Mm-hmm.
Abby Burr resided in the Wyndham Hotel in Prescott, Arizona with her ghostly cat.
Yeah, her cat's name was Noble. Now, no, they say that Abby was living there with her husband, and it was one of those deals where she was very, very sickly, and she had her cat, and her husband decided one day, it's one of those things, I'm going to go out and get a pack of cigarettes, and he never came back. And so she was left there alone with her cat. And so after a while, with her sick, being sick, she passed away, and they say the cat starved to death. And whether that really happened in that manner, we don't know. Others say that Abby's name was made up one night when there was a bunch of women staying there, and they were playing on a Ouija board, and that was the name that came up. So it was kind of, there's different stories on that. But, the cat seems to be the main ghost. Little Noble, if you have that room, you will find all your toiletries knocked over the next day in the bathroom area. You'll feel a cat pouncing on the bed. People have heard a cat in the closet. So the cat's quite active. In fact, another time when we actually did a big paranormal thing where we had the entire building, the girls in that room, that were staying in that one, they didn't witness anything about the cat, but somehow we think the cat got out of their room and went across the hallway, because the ladies in the room across the hall, there was a woman that was allergic to cats, and all of a sudden she was having an asthma attack, and you were thinking, oh, the cat went over there. It wasn't in the other room. But the cat kind of wanders around, but that's generally the room it stays in. And everybody knows, Abby's room, if you check into that one. It's right at the top of the stairs.
All right. So question 8, the ghost of the Copper Queen in Bisbee that never existed.
I know Julia Lowe has, been featured on 9 bazillion ghost, TV shows like Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures, and many, many others. People go there to get the Julia, Lowe room, and she never existed. Back in the 80s, there was a gentleman by the name of Michael London, and he was, kind of a popular Bisbee guy at that time, and he was a historian as well. And the hotel wanted to have one of those mystery dinner weekends.
Oh, yeah.
And so he wrote a script. He wrote the script for the mystery weekend. And, and those are the kind of mystery dinners where they sign everybody that's going to come apart. So you could be the sheriff, you could be, the banker, or you could be the storekeeper, or you could have been the lady of the night, Julia Lowell. And that's how she was invented. She was invented for a dinner mystery weekend. And somehow everyone started believing she really existed. And there's no record of her anywhere. Our friend Francine Powers, who's done history on everything in Bisbee, her and I have looked up records, from the ladies who did work until there's no sign of her. Besides, a lady like Julia Lowe would not have been allowed in the Copper Queen back in those days at all. That was a very, very proper hotel. The ladies
Okay.
of the night worked up, up at the hill on the gulch.
Right.
So there was no Julia Lowe, but everyone believes she's there. And they get mad when I said, no, she's not real.
All right, question 9. The YMCA in downtown Phoenix has a ghostly
floating head. This is I think one of the popular stories we tell when we do our walking tour, Marshall. They all try to imagine what it would be like to be in a room with a floating head. Now, the gentleman that passed away in the old hotel. I think you have both versions of it there. The original one was, I believe, on Jefferson. And when they moved it and built a more modern one, somehow, the floating head still shows up there. The gentleman at the first hotel was a salesman, and apparently he was not having a good sales month. I believe he worked in advertising, and it was just not good. And he decided to, take his life, and he slit his throat, and he slit it so deep that is, practically decapitated himself. And so that's the floating head they see in the new hotel. And we always wonder on the tour, why would that happen? Well, sometimes, from that old hotel to the new hotel, they probably brought over some of the beds, some of the dressers, some of the supplies and lamp fixtures. And so sometimes, energy will attach itself to furniture in a rocking chairs. And so we believe that that's why the head is still floating around in the new YMCA, and it came from the old YMCA.
Wow. Spooky YMCA.
Spooky YMCAs, I tell you.
Is it fun to stay at the YMCA? Or?
Yeah, and that's my favorite thing when we walk down the street sometimes, and we get everybody singing the song as we're walking down this. We call it one of the scary alley #1.
Exactly. All right. So the staff at the Haunted Congress Hotel in Tucson often find
butter knives in the corners here and there. What has happened with the Hotel Congress, there was an older gentleman who was like a permanent resident there for many, many, many years. And they didn't even up his monthly rent. They just always left at, very, very reasonable. And because he liked to tinker, and he would, walk around if he saw, something that needed to be tightened up, he'd grab a butter knife and he would, tighten it up with like a screwdriver. Or he would, fix a light, or, he was always tinkering. So they just kind of let him be. And he passed away in the hotel eventually. And so his spirit is still there, because every once in a while they say in a corner, they'll find a butter knife, or they'll, on, top of one of the stairs, they'll find a butter knife. They feel he's still wandering around, still tinkering, because he loved the hotel so much. That was his home. So they still find the butter knives here or there, because that's what he used to do when he lived there. He would, fix something and just leave the butter knife, because, he lived there. Someone from the restaurant would
had
pick
lots of
it up.
butter knives. So
Yeah. So yeah, that's one of the, the popular stories there. And contrary to a lot of people believe, it was the place where Al Capone, was captured. It wasn't. It's that Dellinger.
Oh, it was Dillinger. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
like, wait a minute.
Dellinger.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not Al Capone. Erase that part. It was Dellinger. But his men were staying there, and there was a big fire. And the big fire came along, and they had all their money, all their guns and everything. The policemen and the firemen helped them carry it out. And then later on, after the fire was out, the men were sitting in the station going like, reading one of those, detective magazines that they had back in the day, and they realized, oh, these are Dillinger's men. We were helping them escape out of the building. So then they realized that Dillinger was staying at a little, like a bungalow nearby. So they did capture him in Tucson, but it wasn't at the hotel like some people believe.
Well, I know that it's like, and I've never done it, but I know they do Dillinger Days.
Yeah. They actually kind of, celebrate that whole little episode of
the dark side of history. I mean, of the fire that you can still sometimes see remnants around the hotel.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. I wonder how people did. And, and I always like to ask people how they did. But, it's not necessarily what you got right or what you got wrong. But look at the great stories you have now. I mean, just in time for Halloween, when you go off to those parties, you can now tell some ghostly stories that happened right here in Arizona. Now, Deb, before we go any further, I do want to ask about your backdrop. I'm going to make your photo big because I see all kinds of things
all my
behind
dolls.
you.
I think you see Shirley Temple. There's Elvis over there. I don't know who I have back here. They're everywhere. I don't know if you can see way up there.
Wow.
I mean, and that's just like one little thing. They're piled up in piles now. I have 650 celebrity dolls. I wanted to have a museum, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Wow.
But my daughter threatens me that when I pass away, she's going to have a sale. You buy one doll, you get 5 free. And I'm still buying them. That's about it. I'm waiting for my Queen Elizabeth to arrive. They made one right, for her anniversary thing, and then she passed away, and I had ordered it, and it's finally coming. So it'll be here soon. But yeah, kind of one of my weird habits and hobbies.
Well, Deb, thank you so much for coming on just before Halloween, just before all those parties are going to be happening over the weekend.
I know. And now you know where to stay and where to eat and where to find ghosts too.
Exactly. Or where not to stay, depending on your point of view.
Exactly.
And don't go to Globe Off and jump off the bridge of size. Not a good idea.
Don't jump off the bridge.
So not a good idea at all. Deb, thank you so much for joining us, and have a spooky Halloween.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on the show. It was fun.
See you later, Deb.
Bye-bye.
Wow. I just want to say thank you to Deb. That was so much fun. Oh my gosh. So again, thank you, Deb. That was so much fun getting to hear stories from across Arizona. I know she was actually at Burton Bar last week doing some other haunted stories throughout Arizona and pulling from her 10 different books. So thank you. And I hope that she gets a chance to watch this. I think Francine may still or may not be on. I don't know. But I love that Francine got a little shout out. And Karen, thank you for suggesting the Red Garter for breakfast in Williams. If anyone's going to go do the Polar Express or anything else, now you can go grab breakfast at the Red Garter. So from the vault, we're going to talk about, because of course it's the Halloween episode, we are going to talk about the Pioneer Cemetery that most people don't realize is just literally right down the street from the Capitol. It is basically like 13th Avenue and Jefferson. And so good. I'm glad you liked it, Francine. So it's like that cemetery. Most people don't even know what's there. The last person was buried there in 1914. It is the second city cemetery. And that's a kind of a whole story into itself as well. And so as you drive by, what you might not realize is one of the most told legends about Arizona is right there. So just as you can see downtown from this grave site, that grave belongs to Jacob Waltz. Now, in case you're wondering, well, who is Jacob Waltz? He was the Lost Dutchman. So the Lost Dutchman's, or the Dutchman's lost gold, we know where the gold is, but we don't know where the gold is, but we know where he is. So he is buried in downtown Phoenix, but his gold is somewhere still in the Superstition Mountains. So now you'll see why I always say you should share on Facebook, because, we can have so much fun with Arizona history. And, stick around to the end, because I'm going to play the trailer for Biker vs. the Undead, which was filmed at the Eisendrath House in Tempe. I'm going to play a few minutes of that, so that'll be interesting. And so next week we have Ernesto Ortiz. So he is a comedian, grew up on the West Side, and a crocheter as well. So who knows what kind of trivia we're going to be getting into with Ernesto, but it's guaranteed to be a raucous good time. So see you here next week for Ernesto, same bat time, same bat channel, right here on your preferred YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So as we get ready for that, I always love to hear from you. So please feel free to reach out either in the chat, or you can reach out to me through different medias. So I always love to give my friend PJ a shout out, because we've done over 120 some cocktails and talking about a show just on cocktails. So as well as Chris and Cole. So without any further ado, as we get ready to say goodnight, let's watch some of Biker vs. the Undead from the mid-'80s.
You all have your assignments. Speed's Mansion is just below the main city water supply. My group will take care of him. Mildred's going to show you where we camped at Coffin Wash. You all know what to do. Yeah!